Hello, this is Rudy Giuliani back again with another edition of Rudy's Common Sense. Let me first make sure that I wish you all a belated Thanksgiving. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed it in the right spirit of a great and beautiful remembrance of the ideal in America, American pilgrims getting along with Native Americans and forging a mutual assistance society in which they helped each other and assisted each other, and a 50-year-long peace treaty that was not violated by them but by others. Not the entire history, obviously, of America. People come to a more perfect union from a imperfect course, and we've been doing that since the beginning. But that's what's great about us. So once again, now that Thanksgiving is over, and as we go into the beautiful holidays of Christmas and Hanukkah and the New Year, and we got another Biden crisis. I don't know. Maybe for my year wrap-up show, I'll take an extra hour so we can describe all the Biden crises of 11 months. But let's just take one this time, because this one is pretty bad and very symbolic of what might and what will lie ahead for us with this president who has proven to be, in a short period of time, not only our worst president, but probably the one who's done more damage to life and American values than anyone. This one is about what they like to call smash and grab, which you get a certain taste of on the news, but very, very little. This is an awfully euphemistic description for a very dangerous, violent crime that, if it isn't stopped now and stopped boldly and abruptly, this could become the norm in your area. So what are these really? These are store invasions. These are organized retail invasions. These are organized crime looting. These are crimes that reach values in the millions at times, or can be as little as destroying some poor person's store for $100. They range the gamut. A lot of it's organized, which is exceedingly dangerous, and getting more organized the way the mafia got organized when J. Edgar Hoover decided they didn't exist and didn't treat them as a national priority. And sometimes then they're copycats. Not all organized, but the pattern is so obvious on national television, it's almost like, a teach you at home kit. Do A, B, C, and D, and you have yourself a store invasion. You can do it with a little delicatessen, or you can do it with the biggest department store in the world. Just depends on the number of resources you have and the cars and everything else. This is an exceedingly dangerous thing that's happening, and instead of making this a national priority with a task force with the FBI looking for abilities to bring in federal jurisdiction, particularly since some of this is organized interstate. In some cases, for example, cars all the way from Chicago were found in Los Angeles. Some of the actors involved were involved in both Los Angeles and in the Midwest. Instead of focusing on this with his crooked Justice Department, Biden and his crooked AG are looking at parents who are upset about the fact that their children aren't taught anything in public schools, except maybe that they're not of the gender they think they are, or that America is a horrible country that was founded by terribly prejudiced, horrible people, and no matter what we did, we don't shake it, and all of us white people are racist. So that's what the big task force was about. I think if we had a president with any one of these characteristics, honor, decency, common sense or sanity. The task force would have been about, I will call it, organized retail invasion. Another good title could be organized crime looting. I would not say smash and grabs. It makes it sound like a cartoon. But you're telling me that the major priority in this country is white supremacists? We got about 10 Democratic cities that are setting records for homicide this year. New York did last year. Remember, everybody's 1 year behind New York, maybe 2. Oh, New York's not doing too well this year either. It's setting a record for shootings this year. I mean, de Blasio doesn't want to be left out of his fellow communists and socialists and whatever the heck they are, and decrepit idiots. I mean, he's got to have a record for something too. A couple of other cities are setting records for murder, shootings, rapes. You know, records you could be really proud of if you're a progressive Democrat. Because that's what you've been all about for 30 years, trying to ruin our police, trying to ruin our rule of law, and trying to get us to become a socialist, communist country. I'm beyond that you want us to be a socialist country. I'm already at seeing your real game, which is you want us to be a communist country that does not have sovereignty, that is ruled by the Soros one world, and with an economic system that would generally be regarded as socialist, except with exceptions for people like Soros and the billionaires who run Silicon Valley, who, like in a communist society, would have chateaus, getaways, extraordinary number of women. You know, communism is the phoniest thing in the world, in that everybody else gets what the government tells them, and then the top 5% or the top 10% live as rich or richer than anybody that we know in America. Who's the richest man in Russia? Who's the richest man in China? I'll let you guess. I accomplished a lot in 2020 exposing the truth, establishing the relationship with you, working tirelessly for America. And I came to know the work and value of the people at American Hartford Gold. You see, you buy gold not only for what you know, but you buy gold for what you don't know. American Hartford Gold is the company you can trust when it comes to buying gold. They sell physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or inside of your IRA. In the precious metals industry, they are the highest rated firm in our country with an A+ from the Better Business Bureau and thousands of satisfied clients. Give them a call and tell them Rudy sent you. And be sure to ask them what I bought. And if you call them right now, they will give you up to $1,500 of free silver on your first order. Folks, these are uncertain times. The one thing you can count on to protect what you have worked so hard for is physical gold and silver. So don't wait. Call them now. Call 833-GOLD-777. That's 833-GOLD-777. Or text Rudy to 65532. Again, that's 833-GOLD-777. Or text Rudy to 65532. And this is all playing out against Biden's America, in which he promotes lawlessness. He complains about the virus, the CCP virus. Yes, the Chinese Communist Party virus. That's what it is. But he takes his mask off anytime he wants, and he spits in people's faces. I don't know if you recently saw the video where he has the mask on. He walks out, he shakes hands, and he says hello. So this is the atmosphere that this all comes about in. I'm going to tell you, you know how we always talk about what are the root causes of crime? This one is like, you can't pass a test on the root causes of this crime, then, I don't know, get your degree back or something. It means I don't know. And you don't have to get educated on this. It's on Living Color. It's on Living Color. In here, not on the TV. because ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN. I mean, I'm going to get into the root causes at the end, but I'll give you one simple one because it's right at probably the primary one. Remember last year, all the riots that took place, even though they were reduced and you're getting to see them. I mean, there were about 10 times more than you actually got to see. There was 25, 27, 28 murders, not 2 or 3 that were emphasized. There was property damage going into the billions, but maybe the worst being the small little stores that were wiped out that never opened again. And there were a lot of people, including police officers, going to the hospital, including some killed. But what I want you to remember about them, because this becomes a piece of what's going on here, and it affected me greatly because I ran a city. How many times did you see people breaking into stores, carrying out extremely valuable things, jewelry, large televisions, or carrying out bottles of liquor, or carrying out smaller things, or carrying out appliances? And you said to yourself, where are the police? And if the camera was at all adventuresome, you would see they were across the street watching. When did that become the job of a police officer? Do we hire police officers to observe and record crime? What are they, historians? You know what we hire them for. I know how to use them. And I'm going to tell you this, and this is a guarantee to you, and it's not a boast. Not one of those would have taken place had I been the mayor of any of those cities. Not one. Maybe it had gotten started. It would never have finished. And then there would not have been another one. And I've done it legally. I did it legally for 8 years in a city that had riots before I took over. So let's take a look now at some of these lootings, organized crime, invasions of retail stores. And it isn't one of the first, but it's probably one of the first that focused on big time, big money. It was the invasion of Iceberg Diamonds in Sun Valley Mall in Concord, California. And I put it up on a screen there. You can see them smashing. You can see them smashing the glass. How many are we looking at? We're looking at about 8. One in white. He may be the leader. The others all covered in black. The store, you see one store person running away. The store people are obviously gone. And they will then clean out that entire group of, looks like necklaces that they're going after there. But basically, what they came away with were many, many diamonds. And I'm sorry, I don't have the value of that, but it's got to be better than 10,000, 20,000. I mean, it probably gets up in the hundreds. This was at 7:30 p.m., so it was not, middle of the night. There were people in the store, all endangered by this. I mean, there's no question those hammers that they have, which are rather, rather big hammers, could punch your skull in. And they look like people who would punch your skull in 2 seconds if you got in their way, right? So we could be looking at last year, couldn't we? We could be looking at last year during one of the 90 riots that were tolerated by the Democratic Party. Not only tolerated by the Democratic Party, they were financed in part by the Democratic Party. Vice President Harris organized her staff to bail out the rioters in Minneapolis and about 4 other cities. Also, 2 of the major rioting groups, Black Lives Matter and Antifa, are funded principally by George Soros, who also funded the campaign of the district attorney of this county. Pretty good, huh? As he did the district attorney of St. Louis, and the district attorney of Philadelphia, and the district attorney of San Francisco. In fact, the guy in San Francisco got kicked out, and now he's the district attorney in Los Angeles. But the one in San Francisco is just as bad, meaning they don't prosecute property crimes by and large. So now we go just 2 days later, and we go to the Louis Vuitton Oak Bridge Mall in Chicago. And let's take a look at that. So there are people nice coming in for holiday shopping. It is November 17th. And there's a nice man who comes in with his mask on. And there they come. Here they come. And look how fast they are grabbing. Look at that, the pocketbooks. Tell me these aren't professionals. One guy's out already. Another guy's out. Third guy's out. Oh, they're getting stuck in the elevator. Ooh, look how fast they are. There's a guy in red. There's a guy with a blue hat on. The only people looking are the mannequins. And they're throwing the bags to people. They seem to be sorting the bags out there in an organized fashion, and they're gone. They're gone. At this major invasion in Chicago, the thieves who entered the Oak Brook store took $120,000 worth of merchandise from the Louis Vuitton store in Oak Brook Wednesday. And that estimate is now about 10 days old. And I assume as they go through it, it always goes up. It doesn't go down. The Oak Brook Police Department, which is a suburban police department in the outskirts of Chicago, got a report about 3:31 p.m. in the afternoon. So this is a midday store invasion during holiday shopping, what you saw. And they say several people partaking in a grab and run of merchandise at 196 Oak Brook Center. And once they got in, they pulled out the garbage bags from their coats and started filling them with merchandise. That's the report of Oak Bridge Police Chief James Kruger. And then 14 suspects drove away in 3 separate vehicles. One at least identified immediately as stolen, and the others probably have been described as stolen. This was not the first time this happened. A month earlier, it happened at another Louis Vuitton store about 30 miles further north. And there were 13 thieves and 3 getaway cars, and they didn't do as well. They only got $66,000 worth of merchandise. And now we get the interesting comment from the police chief, which I'm going to answer for him. We don't know if there's a connection yet. New police chief. Hey, chief of staff, I'm being mayor now. Hey, Tony, let's get a new police chief. See this? How come I can figure out I know I have a lot more time and experience in law enforcement, but how come I can figure out there's a connection between the two and he can't? At least we go on the theory there is, called hypothesis. You know what that means, chief? I mean, anybody ever taught you investigating? If these aren't connected, what's the expression? I don't know. I'll apologize, okay? Now, I will say the Illinois Attorney General formed a task force to take a look at this. That's a lot better than our crooked federal AG, who has formed a task force to go after parents who are unhappy about their children not being taught anything but garbage and dangerous garbage in public schools. I think this would be a good time to take a short break. How much equity do you have in your home? 50,000? 100,000? More? Cybercrime experts are alerting homeowners that the more equity you have, the greater the chance foreign and domestic criminals will come after you. Title theft is one of the fastest growing crimes. Home Title Lock, America's leader in home title protection, is alerting homeowners they could already be a victim and not know it. Here's how it goes down. First, cyber thieves search hundreds of public databases for high equity homes. Next, they pull your home's title that's online. They forge your signature stating you sold your home, and they take out loans using your equity. You're not covered by insurance. Your bank or common identity theft programs. Protect your most valuable asset. Register your address now to see if you're already a victim and receive a complete title history of your home, a $100 value free. Go to HomeTitleLock.com. That's HomeTitleLock.com. Welcome back. Well, as I said right before the break, the main event that really, I think, captured the public and got people to realize this is not just a few teenagers breaking into stores, but that this is a very well coordinated, very well thought out, organized crime effort to make millions of dollars and to, at the same time, devastate small stores and create chaos. These are what I would call, upscale lootings without a riot. This is learned behavior from last year's riots, but you don't need a riot to loot if you can overcome enough people by surprise with force. So on 19th of November, 2021, a Friday, major holiday shopping before the holiday, before Thanksgiving, they hit in the Union Square area of Chicago, Louis Vuitton, Burberry, Bloomingdale's, Yves Saint Laurent, Walgreens, Wellspring Pharmacy, and of course, multiple cannabis dispensaries. Sale, or for them, or a little of both. So let's look at the Louis Vuitton. Let's look at the Louis Vuitton footage of their behavior and how they carry out these lootings. You can see the store afterwards. You can see it is completely devastated. Now we see the background and we see that this is after it took place. I don't think they had a shot of the actual break-in, but you see the results. You see the results of the break-in, and now, there you go. There you see the glass. Now you see it being boarded up. Now there it is. There's a shot of the people inside climbing up and down, and there's a picture of the useless district attorney, Cesar Bodin, who probably should be charged as an accessory to this crime, since from all his time in San Francisco, he has basically decriminalized property crimes to the point where San Francisco was not a major property crime city, and by the time he became DA, became the worst in the country. I would never mention this, but for the fact that he carries out his parents' legacy. His parents were two members of the Weather Underground who participated in the killing of police officers, both of whom received pardons from very questionable Democrat presidents. Questionable is a nice way to say it. And both of whom now participate in helping Black Lives Matter, Antifa, do similar things to what they did, and also help to spur on the anti-police hatred that, of course, dominates Black Lives Matter. Remember when you hear Black Lives Matter, remember, every time you hear it, pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. Don't be fooled. It seems to me they also all pick crooked Democrat cities, don't they? With DAs that are kind of like communist agents, that are placed in there. When you put a DA in who just lets the criminals go free, you have chaos, right? And you put $2 million in a DA's race, you own it, because you usually spend $500,000. And what's Soros doing that in 28, 30 different races? And this is where they do this. This is not organized crime. As I show you these, and there's just a few more I'm going to show you, you see it keeps growing, right? So it starts with one, they all watch it, and then it grows. Grows, grows, grows. I could give you hundreds of examples of that. I'll give you a very recent one. Let's go back to last year when the Floyd incident took place. So, terrible thing, guy killed, very questionable circumstances. It's now been resolved in a trial. And then it led to protests. The protests remained peaceful for about a day. The moment that the infantile district attorney in Minneapolis, or mayor, I forgot. No, the infantile mayor, he looked like he was about 12 and acted like he was 6, turned over the police department to the rioters and required the cops to escape and turn over their police department to Antifa and Black Lives Matter. I predicted at the time. I knew it, I could see it. We were going to have riots all over America. Not long ago, Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, and his team fit me for my very own MyPillow. They also introduced me to their wide assortment of other incredible products, like their mattress topper, their sheets, towels, slippers, and more. Sleep is incredibly important to me, and I can assume for all of you. It's time you give MyPillow a try and see for yourself. Listeners have helped build MyPillow into the incredible company it is today, and Mike Lindell wants to give back to all of you. You can get great discounts on MyPillow products by going to mypillow.com right now and seeing each of the specially priced items, including those in the radio listener special square. You're going to see rotational offers up to 66% off on products like their pillows, mattress topper, Giza sheets, but also new products like their slippers, weighted blankets, robes, and waffle blankets. All MyPillow products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee. Enter promo code Rudy for these great specials. That's mypillow.com and use the promo code Rudy. Welcome back. Well, of course, that major multiple theft and looting and invasion that took place in Union Square in San Francisco just continued. By the next day, there was another major strike on, this time, Nordstrom's in Walnut Creek, California. About 25 cars just blockaded the street. So they just tied things up, and they went inside, and they made off with goods before getting in the cars and then speeding away. They got 2 people arrested there at gunpoint, and it was, as you can see, the cars pull up. They're running into the stores. They're running now. They're running out of the store into the cars. The cars have blocked traffic so that they can't, and no one can get to them. And each one of them has a major package or 2. Here's right in the trunk. There he goes, right in the trunk. Very well organized, very well thought out. This all takes place in 10 minutes. I'd say it'd be a good estimate. Maybe 10 minutes of time. And one person here in this particular robbery was arrested at gunpoint, so that at least you have a defendant that can be held accountable for this. Okay, Sunday, not a day off for them on Sunday. On Sunday, there's an invasion at Sam's Jewelers, which you're now seeing on the screen. They do call it smash and grab, which I find offensive because it's a lot more serious than that. And what basically happened there is very similar. You see, it's exactly the same pattern. They show up with a number of people, and they go in and they hit the place. There they are. They're inside now. How fast is that? Come on, look at that. This is very hard to defend against. And people are looking around. This guy dropped one. He goes back and he gets it. It looked like he had a gun, actually. Here's an estimate now of what they made off with at the two places. It looks like in Walnuts Creek, for example, on Saturday night, they made off with $100,000 to $200,000 worth of jewelry and other goods. It's hard to really categorize or show each one of these, but the two we were looking at right there were Lululemon and Sam's Jewelers. One, Lululemon, is in San Jose, California. The other, Sam Jewelers, is in Hayward, California. And at this point, we'll show you a map of just the geographic separation of the ones that took place around that time in that area, near San Jose. So now we have it in, we've got major store invasions in Los Angeles, San Francisco, the suburbs of San Francisco, San Jose, and of course Chicago, which, and theirs go back even before the holidays. So this is a very well-established criminal enterprise that's going on here. So just to get another look at Sam Jewelers and see how it's done. This is right in a mall. I just make a sort of an estimate on your own of how fast that was. There's the guy that drops it, runs off. Just kind of make an estimate of it was. There's a much larger mob in the back, but those are the ones who went in for the kill. And police said they received a call about 5:25. Witnesses told them that a first wave of robbers before this that was filmed, about 30 to 40 kids came in and cleaned up the place. And then a second wave with only that group we saw there, which looked at about 8, came in and took whatever pickings were left. So they basically wiped Sam Jewelers out in Southland Mall, Hayward, as approximately at the same time that a similar group of organized criminals were doing the same thing at Lululemon on the same day, which was the 21st of November. Well, they don't stop. On the 22nd, they end up going to, and probably other places that we even missed, but on the 22nd, and now we're getting to 2 days before Christmas, they go to a place called, oh my goodness, 356 Clothing. So now they're hitting, they really go the gamut, right? Jewelry, purses, items of clothing, and now I guess this is just clothing. This is the 356 Clothing Store, new location, Oakland, California. Similar area, but new location. And the same format. There we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 25. I might as well stop. This is a little army coming in. They all love to grab those hats as they were coming in. Now they're pulling out everything they can get from the 356 Clothing Store in 356 Clothing Store in Oakland, California. It's quite a thing to watch, right? And the thing to watch about it is the pattern is very, very similar. So that's why I don't know why any of these police people, and not too many do, have trouble seeing this as organized. And most of this comes from surveillance videos. And they took just about every kind of item of clothing you can think of. And the police got there within 10 minutes. Police got there within 10 minutes. All gone. We've had some arrests made. We had an arrest made earlier. Every once in a while, they'll get there at the tail end of it. But most of the times, they're in and out before the police get a chance to get there. And then we don't want to leave out the most famous department store of them all. I mean, they're not going to let Macy's off the hook, right? No way. I mean, almost from a point of symbolism, they got to hit a Macy's, right? So that one is going to be in San Jose on the 23rd, the day before Thanksgiving, just to give everybody a nice Thanksgiving. And in the case of Macy's, I have to say the San Jose police, because it was in San Jose, made 2 arrests. And in the case of Macy's, it was a rather small estimate of what they grabbed, which was only a couple of $1,000s. And it looks like the police got there pretty darn quickly. So this was not as well executed. And also by this time, the police are much more informed and much more prepared for this kind of thing. So as you can see, this was handled, I guess the way we like all of them to be handled. Now there have been some since then, and we'll continue to follow this. But I think it's worth summing up what we see here. And why does this take place? Of course, with this large number of criminal invasions, organized crime, criminal invasions of retail stores, upper end and otherwise, and with the violence with which they are done, crowbars and hammers and other instruments that easily can be used as murder weapons as well, that there would be casualties and injuries. Well, there were many injuries. Many people have gone to the hospital as a result of this. And there's one tragic casualty, and it's really unfortunate that Kevin Nishida had to lose his life. Kevin Nishida was a security guard for KRON 4, which is a television station in Oakland, California, and he was protecting a news crew. He was there protecting a news crew when the attack took place. And Kevin leaves a wife, 2 children, and 3 grandchildren during the course of his very, very distinguished career. He was a police officer at the Oakland Housing Authority. He was with the Haywood Police. He was with the San Jose Police, and he was with the Colma Police Departments in California. And then this was his job in retirement. And these animals took his life. A reward of $32,500 is being offered for any information that leads to the arrest of one of these criminals. A crew from KRON 4 was covering the robbery at the 300 block of 14th Street in Oakland when 12 thieves wearing masks and hoods raided a clothing store right there. And one of the assailants came up and tried to steal the camera equipment. Why not, right? It would take away the evidence, and they could also sell that for money. And he was shot in the lower abdomen in an attempt to prevent that and to prevent physical injuries to the reporters. Well, he succeeded. He protected the people that had to be protected. And that was his job. and only exceptional people have jobs like that. It reminds me a bit of Detective David Dorn in St. Louis when he was protecting, in this case, really just out of friendship, a friend's store because the police weren't doing it. And he had been a policeman for many, many years, a very distinguished captain and commander. And there's a very similar loss of life, and anything you can do to help the family is something that will help the morale of other people that are going to be called upon, that are going to be called upon during this period. I think you see Kevin's picture up on the screen right now. That's Kevin Nishida. And anything you can do to help the family would be greatly appreciated. Well, let's conclude with why. Why are flash mobs looting stores like this? This is obviously nationwide. We haven't even gone into how many places it's happening, nor do we want to even focus on how many more it will happen unless something really serious is done about it. And nothing serious is being done about it right now. Well, I don't know. I can just show you a couple of headlines, couldn't I? From the Miami Herald, written by a gentleman named Leonard Pitts Jr. The headline tells you the story. Why are flash mobs looting stores? Because today's America gave them the go-ahead. That's absolutely right. You don't need much more of a sociological description than that. Here's one that goes back a bit to show you that this built up over a period of time. This goes back to April of 2016. Show you how long this has been going on. Why can't San Francisco stop its epidemic of window smashing? You want to know why the broken windows theory works? Because if they stop that, we never would have had that article. The decrepit, horrible, worst mayor in the history of New York doesn't believe in the broken windows theory, which is why we're going through record increases in crime. And this is also completely driven by Proposition 47, which passed in November of 2014, with 60% of the foolish voters of California voting for it. It was to reduce penalties for some cities for drug violations and property crimes. And people like Boudin just basically wouldn't do property crimes below 900. If it was a property crime at all, the idea of bail was gone, the idea of punishment was gone. And that's why it's concentrated in San Francisco, where you have radical, unlawful district attorneys like the one in San Francisco and the one in Los Angeles, and a couple of others, all there on Soros money. Somebody has to look at that too as an investigation. I fear that that's not going to happen until the Democrats are thrown out, because he owns the Democrats. He's the biggest contributor to the Democratic Party, Black Lives Matter, and Antifa. That tell you something? You want to figure out what's going on? I mean, follow the money is not a bad. In fact, a lot of their money comes from exactly the same office. They don't even bother to hide it. Right after that proposition passed, shoplifting went up 11% like that. And in a very short period of time, a place like San Francisco went from a fairly modest property crime city to the biggest in the country. So what has to be done to stop this? We've got to enforce the law. We've got to interrupt this. We've got to interrupt this, and we've got to interrupt it with a major intervention by law enforcement, with a creative program to catch them while they're doing it and stop them. And I know how to do it. And I'm not saying this as a brag or anything. And if they don't do it in a short enough period of time, I'll outline it publicly. I hate to do that because it gives the crooks an advantage in figuring out how to do it, but probably better than not doing it at all. I've talked to one of my police commissioners. I'm sure the other two would agree that if you gave us a week, we could stop it. This is happening not for any other reason. It isn't the weather. It isn't the economy. These people aren't poor. They're not trying to, get bread for the table. It's happening because we have empowered them to do it. We did it big time last year with the lootings that were outrageous. We did it when Vice President Harris got her people to put up money to allow dangerous criminals to get out of prison so they could loot some more. We did it when we made it appear as if looting was justified because of so-called white supremacy that doesn't even exist. We did it when the moron Attorney General of the United States announced that white supremacy is the biggest law enforcement concern in the United States. Show me a white supremacist. Huh, idiot? Show it to me. Sell out. You're investigating parents? You should be impeached. It's happening because of Joe Biden. It's happening because of the disrespect that has been fomented by Democrats year after year after year against the men and women who protect us, who've been pushed aside, who had to watch rioters as if they're neutered observers. It happened because the President of the United States can't even condemn it because they're going to vote for him. It happened because you voted for him. Don't make that mistake again. Voting has consequences. When we have people in this country at the heart and at the top of one political party that want to change us into a communist country. And all of this chaos that Soros is provoking and Biden and all of them, it's all intended to create a nice transition into a different form of government. No police, no sovereign government. We'll be part of one world, and the government will decide how much money you get. And the guys who decide will all become billionaires. And you'll be standing online for food. I wish I were giving you a conspiracy theory. I'm giving you reality unless you fight back. And here's how you fight back. You don't do it this way. You do it by starting to get ready now before 2022 even starts for the 2022 elections. You contact me at rudyscommonsense.com and join my Freedom Network. So thank you for listening. I hope this was an eye-opener. That's what it was intended to be. We're still at an early enough stage. We can stop this from being a pandemic. This is a lot more dangerous. This is a lot more dangerous than the hysterics they're creating around the other thing, which we'll be talking about too. So thank you very, very much. And make sure you do what I always ask you to do. Well, one, subscribe to my podcast. But number two, say a prayer tomorrow morning and say, thank God I'm in the United States of America because I'm allowed to do things about this and nobody can stop me. God bless you. God bless America. And we'll be with you again very shortly.